I watched Kevin Hart on Drink Champs. Love watching these Drink Champs interviews, and Kevin Hart is my guy. I watched that in its entirety. It might have took me up like a day or maybe 2 days at the most to finish it. But I always love the part of the interviews and these Drink Champ interviews where where they ask their guests. Now at this point in time, like the guest is typically like several shots in or several drinks in, right? And this is when they start to ask them questions, not just questions pertaining to their career or their lives or just current events or gossip or anything like that, but they'll pin two different people up against each other and ask you to choose, whether it's Jay and Nas, whether it's MJ and LeBron, whether it's Michael Jackson and Prince. They'll do that, right? So once it got to that part of the interview, in Kevin Hart's episode, they asked him about, N.O.R.E. asked him about Will Smith and Ice Cube. Who do you go with? Is it Will Smith or Cube? And I really like the way that, Kevin Hart dealt with that question. And at this point, like I said, he's drinking his tequila. He's several shots in. They're having a good time. It's a good vibe. But I love the way that he answered that question. And don't quote me, but it was along the lines of, saying that because you could see what N.O.R.E. was trying to do. You could see, and I love that show because they're really good at getting you to speak on certain controversial things. And at that point, Kev didn't really want to have to take he didn't want to take more shots, so he was going to answer the question. So of course, N.O.R.E. was kind of alluding to Will Smith being he's a gangster. He's a gangster now, right? Are you going with him or Cube? And obviously, Kev has history with the both of them. He's worked on a lot of stuff with Ice Cube, and I think he had some things in the works with Will Smith. Plus, they just got a lot of mutual respect there between the two of them. They both, both in that comedy game. Even though Will Smith more so, television, film, but Kevin Hart was doing the stand-up. Will Smith didn't do stand-up until during the pandemic, or maybe right before the pandemic when he was doing that bucket list thing, and Dave Chappelle kind of encouraged them to come out there and do some stand-up. But it was interesting. I love what Kev said, and like I said, don't quote me. He said something like, "I'm not going to this is my guy, right? This is my brother. I'm not going to kick the man while he's down, pretty much." He said, "I believe when a person is dealing with some dark times, right? It's my job to shed some light on that individual, some positive light on that individual." And he did that with Will Smith in this moment when he pretty much just said, "Hey, listen." He thinks that at this particular point, it's a lot more to it. The situation is a lot more layered than outsiders might think, and he just believes that at this particular point, it's no longer a world issue. It's a Will and Chris issue, right? And at this point, we should allow Chris to continue on with his career and bounce back the way that he's gonna bounce back, because obviously that was publicly embarrassing for him, and I really feel for Chris Rock. And then it pertaining to Will Smith, Kevin Hart was pretty much saying that we should allow Will Smith to have his time to bounce back as well. We make mistakes, people make mistakes, but he was speaking to some of the great things that we can't take away from Will Smith in terms of things that he's accomplished in his career, opportunities that he has created for other black entertainers because of him getting a shot and him making the most of that shot. And not just making the most of that shot, but Will Smith I think that when he got that opportunity to have his own show, I think that he killed it, and he just took off. He went to the moon at that particular point and became a megastar in film, and really appeared to do a lot for people, for do a lot for his fans. Just a person that you can tell. Like when he said during his speech during the Oscars, which I know was after that terrible moment, but even when he said that he really feels like God has put him here for a reason, he's on a quest to spread love and positivity. It's unfortunate that this all came after this slap, right? Because of course, after you go and assault someone on national television, who wants to hear you talking about, being purpose driven and God putting you here for a reason and putting you here you feel like you are here to spread love and positivity. I truly believe that that's true. I really believe that he's really, self-aware and in tune with himself. And I think that he's a really purpose-driven individual. I felt that way long before this incident happened. I always kind of felt like he was always my favorite celebrity. I always said that Will Smith is like my favorite celebrity. I don't feel any differently about that now. I don't like what happened, but I just think it's unfortunate that out here nowadays in the society, you can do 250 great things. You do that one bad thing, and of course it's levels to it. There's certain things that are a lot harder to come back from. But I'm just saying, based on the things that Will Smith has done up to this point, I just don't, as a fan and just as a person in general, I don't want to be that guy who only thinks about him in that Oscars incident, right? I don't want to be the person to act like all the positive things that he's done up to this point, right? I don't want that to go forgotten. I don't want that to fall completely to the wayside. And that's what Kevin Hart was speaking to. Think about what Will Smith and Denzel have done. They broke down the door, and I think because of that, you've seen a lot more African American leads in big films. Will Smith is I think that Kevin Hart was saying that also Will Smith is someone who inspired him to not just spread his talent domestically, but also take it, across the water, international, become a global star. And I just think that Will Smith has shown time and time again over these decades that he really does have a heart for the people and really wants to spread, to make people laugh, make people feel good and spread love and positivity and inspire them to chase after their dreams and aspirations, to be relentless even in the midst of fear and doubt. I think that he's been a prime example of that. And it's unfortunate that he chose to deal with that Chris Rock incident the way he did. And he is, Chris Rock is the victim in that situation, absolutely. But just for the sake of this segment, since we're really talking about what Kevin Hart had to say about Will Smith, I want to kind of keep it there. I like what Kev said. Now, clearly we know that we live in the type of media era, right? Social media era, 24-hour news cycle where people are still going to look what I'm doing. I'm talking about it, right? People are going to still give their 2 cents about the Will Smith and the Chris Rock incident, and they're gonna condemn Will Smith. I get that, but I do like the way Kev handled it, and I like the fact that he has that mindset, being someone who is in the industry, being someone who has a good relationship with Will Smith and Chris Rock. I like the fact that he said, you know what? We're the place now where let's let that happen. It's unfortunate that it happened, but things happen. People make mistakes, and let's let both of them recover from this incident. Let's let Chris Rock deal with it privately now, because obviously there's things that he, is trauma for him. So now he's got to try to bounce back in his own way. Let's let him do that. Let's let Will Smith now, in his embarrassment, in this shameful moment for him, let's let him, give him the grace to bounce back in his own way. And if these brothers want to come together someday and make it and come to some type of reconciliation, if they want to come together and reconcile, great. If Chris Rock decides that that's not really what he wants to do, and he wants to kind of move forward, without having a conversation with Will Smith, and having a good relationship with him, then he has every right to handle it that way as well. Let's let these brothers deal with that now, kind of be behind closed doors, instead of continuously, attacking Chris Rock or attacking Will Smith, or using that incident as people's entertainment. Instead of doing that, let's now put that aside. It became a world issue because it happened on the national stage, but now that's done. It's been several months. Let's let it become a Will Smith and Chris Rock issue now, where they can handle it as men. So I like the way that he dealt with that. N.O.R.E, they tried to get him. They tried to get Kevin Hart caught up in that part of the interview, but I like the way he dealt with that.